Okay, the chair calls the September 29th, 2021 Rutherford County Redistricting Committee to order. If you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Harris. Here. Commissioner Phillips.
Here.
Commissioner Blair.
Here.
Commissioner Gourley.
Here.
Mr. John Marshall. Mr. Ransom Jones. Ms. Carolyn Cox.
Here.
Chairman Farley.
Present.
Mike Curtis.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, minutes of the last meeting last week was emailed out to everybody, and do we have a motion to adopt those minutes? Have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? And all in favor of the minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Okay, at our last meeting, we had completed all 21 districts, and each district was within its 10% deviation. And so what we wanted to do was take a opportunity for everybody to look over the maps, make sure that if there's any tweaks, any adjustments that you wanted to come back and offer, and then also to allow for just to sit on it for a bit and kind of come back to it, just to kind of take a clean look at it. And so hope everybody had a chance to do that. I did have three items that I did want to bring forth just to kind of tighten up a few areas. District 16 was actually 7/100ths over the deviation, which basically our total deviation is within the limits, but I did want to kind of come back and look at a couple of those. Mike, if you would, look at the section, District 20 is just shy of 5%.
Yes, sir.
And so it's high, and then 16 is our lowest. So what I wanted to suggest to the committee, let's take that, the point there that at I-24 96 to Air Park Drive, and 20, move that from 20 to 16. That should get 20 in better shape.
That puts them roughly equal, plus and minus.
Okay, so we have that area there. And so that would actually take District 16 from being 7/100ths over to negative 2.89. And then that takes 20, which was right at, just shy of being right at the limit, down to 2.69. So that gets both of them closer to the ideal population. And does anybody have any comments or suggestions on looking at making that move? Okay, go ahead and lock that in.
Done.
And because what we'll do is we'll just kind of do this in one motion if there's no objection. Also, with 16, look at the McFadden area there in 18, or right there in 16, but joins 18. The section there, if you come from the public square over, right there, where it comes over to that Front Street, and can come down to Castle, then Old Salem Highway to the boundary there in Middle Tennessee. Let's look at moving that into 18.
Are you talking like West Vine?
Yes.
Like this?
West Vine, I'm sorry, I called that Main Street. West Vine over to Front, down to Castle, and then to Old Salem Road. A large portion of that is industrial there in Halium Park area.
Like that?
So that there would actually, it would increase the negative percentage on 16 a little more, but it does bring balance to 18. So that area there would actually, let's see, 18 was currently at negative 3.54. So that takes that down to a negative 2.62. So there's a balance there it creates between 16 and so we're picking up on one end and kind of shaving off a little bit there on the other, just a little tweak there. So go ahead. Commissioner Phillips?
What did it do to 18? I mean, I'm sorry, 16?
16, it made it negative 3.8, and 18, negative 2.62.
Both still negative?
Yes, sir, and under 4%.
So what I'm trying to do is just trying to get a balance there, getting most close to the ideal as we can. Because originally 16 started out at 5.07, so we're still good there. So lock that one in.
Yes,
there.
sir.
If there's no objection. And then looking at District 13, 13 is negative 4.32, and then 7 is 3.2. So that area there, the Scales Elementary area, there, Salem Cove, the municipal boundary there, it drops off, and there's a municipal boundary north and south on both sides there.
Talking about here?
Cove, correct, right there.
Yeah.
That section down to Salem Cove Lane, and then over across to the other municipal boundary. See what that brings. Let's see.
You're talking about this block here
Yes, sir.
and
Down.
here?
All the way down.
That's,
One there, the one, I think
that's,
so that takes the entire,
yeah, that's an entire block right there.
okay. All right, then go over to Berryside, that area there.
This area here?
Correct, yes, sir. Yeah, that's it right there.
That makes 13 minus 1.96 and 7 at 0.84.
That gets both fairly close to zero. And it takes in that whole subdivision there. So I think the downside of that is commercial there off St. Andrews there, with that Publix and McDonald's and Taco Bell and such there. So those are the three changes that I looked at and wanted to recommend to that. So that actually gets what's our total deviation was what?
7.62.
So we went from 9% to 7%. So just by making total deviation of all the districts with those.
Mr. Chairman,
Any comments or any objections on that?
would you mind putting the census block numbers back on there, just so I can,
Are you talking about the actual numbers?
yeah,
The
just
population
so I
numbers?
can
Yeah,
see here?
there you go.
What is the farthest deviation of any district right now? Plus or minus?
District 9 is at 3.82, and District 16 is minus 3.8.
We have everything under basically plus or minus 4%. And of course, the majority, a big portion of them are within 1% under to 2% over. We've got 16's at 3.8, 12 is 3.2 under, 3.2 over for 9. So really those are the three that are even closest to the 4% under all.
So everything is under 4.
Yes, sir.
Either direction.
Either direction. Our total deviation for all 21 districts at the end of last meeting was just shy. We were what, 5/10 under 10%?
Yeah, we were real close to 10%.
Brought it from 9.95% to 7.62%. So that creates some balance there, and it gets us that 16, which was just 7/100ths over. It was legal for the total deviation, but I wanted to get that one completely under 5, if at all possible. If there's no objection to that, I will entertain a motion to adopt. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Okay, any other discussion, any other comments? Okay, call the roll.
Commissioner Harris? Yes. Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner Gourley?
Yes.
Mr. John Marshall? Yes. Mr. Ransom Jones? Yes. Ms. Carolyn Cox?
Yes.
Chairman Farley?
Yes. I don't have a.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I don't.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman,
Thanks so much.
may I make a request that, we received this graft, actual printed graph starting out. Could we receive an updated one that we could actually put our eyes on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'd like to have something that I could actually make a comparison with as well.
In fact, probably every commissioner would like that.
Yes.
So
And what we'll do is when we make the final presentation, whatever's adopted, we make that final presentation, we'll have everything broken down by district with all those information, where they were, where they currently are, based off the 2010 census and then the 2020. Okay. Does anybody else have any other tweaks or any other suggestions or comment that you wanted to bring forth as far as the boundaries?
I spent some time looking through the map, zooming in at various places, and where you see irregular things, it's mostly due to a river or creek or something another. We've got some, but that's the way Stones River goes or something, and most of the rest of them pretty well follow as major as you can get lines where they don't have to cross, but we're just to the point that where I just didn't, like I said, I looked, I didn't see anything. I just could not, I kept saying, there's got to be some place that we can change or makes it look a little better, but no, you don't want to cross the river, you don't want to do this. And so I think it looks pretty good all in all.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Well, before we actually bring the full map, all 21 districts for a vote, I do want to go back and review our guidelines that we set to make sure that we can properly answer those questions in the affirmative there. Those guidelines are inside, is the districts inside the overall range of minimum and maximum population. And based off of the graph that's, that we have on the screen there, we do meet that guideline. Are the districts compact and contiguous? Yes, I feel that they are compact and contiguous. Are the districts contiguous with other districts that make up a school or road board zone? And so we do have districts. It's 5, 10, and 5, 11, 12. They are contiguous. Yes.
Yes, sir, right here.
And then we have zones 1, 2, and 3.
1, 3, and 2.
Who there are. And then zone 3, which is districts 4, 6, and 7. So 4, 6, and then
6
7
and 7.
connects there. And then, so Zone 4, which is districts 8, 9, and 10.
9 and 10.
That was a zone that was not contiguous last time, so we got that corrected there. So that zone there is correct. Zone 5 is districts 17, 18, and 21. 17, 18, and 21 are contiguous. And then we have Zone 6, which is districts 13, 15, and 16. So 13, 16, and 15 there meet there. And then Zone 7 is districts 14, 19, and 20. So 14, 19, and 20 are contiguous. So yes to that question. Are the districts within its sense of community does not split in half a community, if at all possible. And I think that's really more important to our rural areas. You take the Las Casas Milton area, the Kittrell area, the Buchanan, Christiana communities, Midland, Rockville, Eagleville. So, and some, I guess, some people, well, Blackman, I think we call that West Murfreesboro now. And then, of course, the Amable area has taken in a large portion of in the municipality as well. So I do feel that we have met that obligation guideline as well.
And the Leanna area also.
Yes, and the Leanna area. And so within the incumbents commission, school, and road board areas, yes, we were able to meet that guideline. The only change is that one commissioner is actually moved from District 19 into District 14, but we didn't meet that criteria there. None of the changes that we made, so that's not pertinent to this here. And are there any unassigned census blocks between completed districts? Because we must account for all. And when I looked at it, I looked closely and couldn't find anything. But I
have programming that does that for us. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's nothing in this list where it says unassigned blocks.
All that is that creates a problem on down the road when we send it off to the State Comptroller's office. So it's always good to kind of have all that cleaned up instead of it coming back to us.
And also in this other tab for non-contiguous districts, there's nothing that is an orphan out there that has not been assigned in the right place.
Okay.
So those all check.
Okay, perfect. All right, so as far as our guidelines are concerned, we have met our guidelines that we have set forth. And so if there's no other suggestions, no other comments, or any other tweaks that the committee wants to make, the chair is open up for a motion. So move to map is presented, okay? October 14th, 2021, okay? All righty, so we do have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any discussion? Commissioner Blair? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, if there's no other comments or suggestions, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. And this is for the adoption of all 21 districts as presented to, and we'll present to the October 14th, 2021 County Commission meeting.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips? Yes. Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Commissioner Gourley?
Yes.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. Jones? Ms. Cox?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right. I do, as chair, I do want to take a second to make a few brief comments. I want to thank everybody serving on this committee for the time and effort that you spent on this project. Considering the amount of growth that we've experienced in the last 10 years, for this map to pretty much be similar except within a couple areas, consistent with over the last 30 years of the districts, how they've grown and how they've shaped. There's not much variation, not much change in the areas there in that. So I think that is a compliment to the work of this committee. This committee, I feel, has served the residents in this county by providing a balanced and equal representation for all citizens, because the apportionment only happens every 10 years. And so what we've done is we've basically, to the best of our ability, based off of the census blocks, have gotten a balance within the standard deviation, or the deviation there, for one person, one vote, which is required by law. So I want to thank Mr. Curtis for his assistance. GIS technology has expedited this process considerably, even more so than what I had originally anticipated for this process, because since the last reapportionment, the GIS system has really has changed. Because I know Mr. Jones served on the election commission back in the 90s when I did, and before 2010, the election commission did this process, and literally you have large, 50-foot by 50-foot maps with small little numbers on it, and you're down on the floor marking and calculating, which block is in which district, and that took a while, and so this has expedited this process a lot, and Mike's expertise in this has been a huge asset to this committee. So I do want to thank him for that. So I'll open up the floor if anybody else want to make any comments before we close. I'll open the floor for comments.
The road board or the school board, or just allow them to attend the county commission meeting to get information?
But once the map is adopted, because all we're doing is we are making our recommendation to the committee. So what I will do is that once this map is adopted, or whatever occurs at the October 14th meeting, then at that point what I will do is I will notify the road board members, and then also the school board members, of the shape of their zones, their area, because they're going to be interested too, because as we get closer into December, this is what I guess half of them will be running under, because half of the school board and half of the road board will be up for election, and so they'll want to kind of know those changes as quickly as possible. So we'll send notification to them, and I'll get with Mr. Curtis, and we'll actually send a map of their zone to each one of them, so that way they know what area they're representing.
Yeah, and once this is approved by the county commission, we'll also have layers available online for people to go look at and be able to see and understand it better, like we do currently.
The only thing will change, or the only change is the map, from the look of the map will be, is that this map, once it's adopted, will come back to the county election commission, and then the county election commission will adopt precincts. And of course, at that point in time, that will not be done until after we get the legislative boundaries back, because there's some things in the statute that require, if a Senate district comes in and splits, say District 6, well, then you have to create separate precincts for that, which under our old format of voting mattered because you had to have a voting location within that precinct. But now that we have vote centers, we don't have that, but it gets into your ballot option as far as voting. So at that point, once the map is adopted, we do get our legislative districts, then at that point, the election commission will draw boundaries for precincts, and then that will be the final part as far as the map looks like. What we will do is our office will then put all the data input for all 200,000 registered voters as far as in the database to determine, then we'll mail them, every voter, a card showing them what district what county commission district, what road board, school board, state house, state senate, and congressional districts that they're in, once the complete process, state and local, is completed. So that's kind of a summary of kind of the whole process going forward on that. Any other comments or any other questions? Okay. All right, our work is done. We are adjourned.